County Commissioner now session about that work.
Commissioner Jeff Murphy from the 6th District will give our invocation for tonight.
We bow with you. Gracious and loving Father God, we come to you this evening, thanking you in this season of Thanksgiving for all the many blessings that you've seen fit to send all of our ways. Tonight, your presence is welcome here as we conduct business with the people of the county. Be with us to make wise and choices that will benefit the greater good. We ask all these things in Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Arnold, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. It's not showing up. Now.
Jamie Kinnison. Gary Carter. Dwayne Fowler.
Here.
Kenneth Miller.
Here.
We have 17 present, 1 absent.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Next is the approval of the agenda. I need a motion. I have a motion by Commissioner Nunnery and a second by Commissioner Arnold. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes carried. Number 1 on the agenda, or number 2, is our executive session. And what's going to happen right now is, per our county attorney, Mr. James Melton, has requested that we take a break and that we go over to the small courtroom in a closed session with he and the other attorney. I've been told that this won't take but a few minutes, and it is a private session, so if everybody in the audience and over there will hold on and just give us a little time, we'll be back as soon as we can. It shouldn't take long. Is that correct?
That's
Okay, so we're going to take a
You definitely want to.
Okay, we're back, in session. We're at number 3 on our agenda, which is the citizens forum. I have 3 names that have signed up. The first one is Jimmy Trout. Would you come forward, Jimmy?
I'm Jimmy Trout. I know a lot of you folks are there. Some of you don't know. I was a manager at Benton County Airport. I got terminated back around October the 4th. But the real reason I think it needs to be brought up to the taxpayers of Benton County and county commissioners. The lady they hired to replace me as manager at the airport, there was 2 things told. It depends on what you heard, what you believe. I mean, it was told that she was a CFI, which takes about anywhere from 350 to 500 hours of flying, and she got 10 hours. The other story I've heard around town that she was a manager at Carroll County. I don't know how that's possible when she worked for Norman Fraser out of here on Birdsong Road, and Tommy Swore is the manager at Carroll County Airport. I think that's something that taxpayers of Benton County need to know. I mean, I was making $28,000 and some change in Benton County, and they hired this woman paying her $65,000. The wrongful firing deal on my part was, I've heard 2 stories on that too. Walked into Watson's Lumber the other day, and supposedly I got put in jail because I wouldn't leave the premises, wouldn't turn my keys in. I walked in the morning, the lady said, "You fired, we're letting you go." I turned and walked out to the shop, got my tools from the shop, filled my timesheet back out, walked in, dropped my timesheet off, dropped my keys and left. Never no confrontation. There was 2 county deputies called to the airport. Story is, I guess, that I got toted off to jail, refused to leave, refused to turn my keys in. Now, I don't know where that story comes from, but when you walk in a place of business at Camden and you're accused of it, that's all I got.
Thank you, Jimmy. Next is Julie Utley and Larry Dobson.
Good evening, I'm Julie Utley with Hope Center Ministries, and Larry Dobson is the director of the Camden location. And we are requesting $15,000 of the opioid abatement money. $3,000 to $3,500 of that would go to the curriculum to the Camden residents, and the other $11,900 would be for 17 Hope Center admission fees. There is a one-time payment of $700 for each resident to do the year-long program. And a lot of the times as an admissions coordinator, by the time that they reach out to me, they have no resources at all. Families are done with them, and or they just don't have the family that will help them with that. And it's really heartbreaking for an admissions coordinator to try to tell somebody no, that they can't have the opportunity to get free and clean and sober off of the substance. You all have a packet in front of you, a folder that Mr. Dobson has put together for us that have some statistics. I would love for y'all to look through it and see the numbers don't lie. So I am also a product of Hope Center, and it radically changed my life. And so we're just asking your consideration for that.
If you notice on the breakdown, this money is used for Benton County and Benton County only, for the residents of Benton County, and also for our Benton County Center. The residents that comes in my center from different locations want to stay in Benton County. They fell in love with the community. They have gotten very good jobs after they graduate and are very productive members of our community. The Hope Center is just a vehicle for this. But I think this money here will be well spent on breaking the chains of addictions, not just for the residents, but also for the family members and also for their kids that have, if they're fathers or mothers or whatever. This is not just for men, this is for women and men, because we have women's centers also around. So this money will be used for Benton County and also be for my center for admission fees too. Each resident has about 15 books. If y'all know that books are not cheap anymore. So I put in there last year's budget cost was around $3,500 for that. So that's how we came up with the number for people to get in the program and also for the literature and books and stuff. Is there any questions?
Yeah. On the 11,000 there for your business, is this $5,000 a year for an individual for a year?
It's a $700 one-time payment for them to do the whole year.
And, does any other state kind of get them to or anything of that nature? It's not. It just comes out. So that will probably take care of what, 15, 16 people?
700.
And your literature, everything, nothing other than just what you raised.
I would like to say something. These people do give back to the county. They feed between 140, 150 families a week. They work with Second Harvest, Missionary Grove. They're out there every week, rain, sunshine, whatever, helping distribute food and all to the county. And I think it's a well-worked program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Does insurance, if they have insurance, does that mean?
Now, y'all also, they get employment. Do y'all receive part of their employment check back to the center? Do they get all that money back to them if they work off? Does it go into an account for them when they get out, or is it used to help the program?
This is vocational training funded, so it's in the program, the stages of it. So for 40 weeks, then they will be somewhere like Clifty Farms, Tosh Farms, H&H Oil uses guys, Haven Steel. So they're there, they're paying for their way through the vocational
Remainder
training.
of their program. And then during the third phase of the program, they do hire them and they get to keep all the funds they make at that point. And they can keep that job forever and ever if they want to. It's not just a Hope Center thing.
So the design is to have them a career when they leave the program, money in their pocket, so they have a leg to stand on when they get out.
That's fine. Any other questions?
On that third phase, are they still residents of the Hope Center?
It's a 1-year program, 12 months. They're there the whole time.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm sure you do, but you drug test everybody and everything.
Yeah, we average.
And like Rick said,
Yeah.
y'all do so good.
See, the benefit of it is because we do drug test so much. I mean, it's averaging once every 3 weeks. So employment, they know they have problems, and we stand on our guys that they can overcome that because of the culture of the house is great. I mean, really, it's amazing how anybody come out there and just experience it. Brett knows, a lot of guys have been out there. It's really great. It's a great program. And I mean, it's not just for the residents, it's for the families, it's for the community. It's one way to fight addiction is this way. So, encourage y'all to think about it. It will help Julie, the families that are coming into the program and stuff. Any other questions?
I've also seen myself how good the program is and how it works.
Thank
I've
you.
been out there before. It's been just for a year. It's a nice place.
One more thing before I leave. It was brought up about this money going to Hope Center. This money will be put in a restricted fund where y'all tell the money what it's used for. Nobody touches it except for what is the purpose of the money itself. So this is called a restricted fund that we're requesting. It would be just used for our purposes.
Our opioid money, how, would that be something CTAS or something, we agree to that, or we have to ask them how that money can be distributed? We know it's like for law enforcement,
This would fit under the category of the opioid funds. What will have to happen is sometime before the December meeting, somebody would have to tell me to make a resolution, and then they'd have to discuss it in budget and committee next month and have a resolution to vote on in December. So y'all's presentations in that, you have to talk to some commissioners and get somebody on board that would want to spend the opioid money in this way. So okay. It's a procedure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is Nikki Green with the Benton County Prevention Coalition.
Hey guys. So, one thing I wanted to bring y'all tonight and show you, I will not be bringing people in from out of town to use this money, and I will not be sending money out of town. It's going to go to these kids right here, so they can teach their peers what it's like to say no to drugs. We are not a school group. We're not a school program. We're different. They reach out to us and they want bracelets for Red Ribbon Week because they can't afford them. We're going to give them the money. We're going to help spread awareness where we can. The whole point of the CADCA conference is to teach them knowledge. If you look at your agenda on page 2, you have a full schedule. These kids get to go meet Congress leaders. They get to go meet legislative members. They get national and federal education for this money to stop drugs and drug usage before it begins in them. It equips them and teaches them how to say no. But it ain't just these. Alyssa Travis is going to, but she's got a big girl job and she had to work tonight. But they get to bring it back and teach their peers. We're going to have bi-monthly meetings every month. They're not held at the school. They're held off-site. It's not a school group. I cannot stress that enough. And they get to bring their friends in, and we get to keep pouring in. You're not going to stop drug use, opioid use, unless you get these kids stopped before they begin. The average child starts vaping when they're in 3rd to 4th grade because somebody brings mommy or daddy's vape to school. The high school vape numbers went down, the junior high came up. It's got ridiculous. We had to Narcan 2 kids at the Benton County schools in September because they dropped. So at some point we have to take a stand. I've put everything I can think of in this. There's links, there's handbooks. The opioid relief money was set to mainly be for prevention. I've talked to the governor's office. I work out of the governor's office some. These kids are our future leaders. They're the future y'all. Y'all give them something to believe in by the decisions you make. And guys, they just want to make you proud. And they want to make something of their lives. And this can help them do it. It can give them a leg to stand on. There's a ton of information in here. If you have any questions, I welcome them. These kids can tell you what this means to them because they're excited. Some of these kids come from broken homes. I had 10 years in recovery Monday from opioids myself. You have to stop with these kids or the curse continues. I can't think of a better way than to prevent it. Keep your money here with our kids. Our babies. And it ain't just these 6. It'll be all their peers and all their friends. We don't just go to CADCA. We go to TTI, Tennessee Teen Institute, every year. We send kids there for a week at UT Martin. And they learn about all kinds of stuff. Faith, what was your favorite thing about TTI this year?
We learned about how to stop stuff. We learned how to road safety, and stuff like that, safe driving, don't make smart decisions, don't.
Yeah. So why don't we send them somewhere where they can learn how to properly say no to drugs and teach their friends? We teach them how to use it. They hear it on the radio, they see it on TV. We don't have nothing like this in Benton County. I'm tired of watching kids die. That's what I do for a living. I get called out by the sheriff's department, the city. Last Monday, I got a call from one of the deputies. Within 3 hours, I had him in a center, thanks to Hope Center in Union City. I don't want that to be these kids one day. I want to stop it before it gets to them. This is federal training they're going to get, national training. Their futures to me are worth more than anything else. And it ain't just these 6. They're going to bring it back and teach it to their peers. And their peers are going to see what they got to do. They're going to want to be a part of that. I want to send all the kids that want to go to camp, I want to send them. I want to teach them. There's so many resources they can tap into. And we're ready to fight. We want to do this. And I'm very proud of these guys for coming. This is Courtney Vance. She's our coalition president. She's also over the JAG program at Benton County Schools. We have got Rhonda Pfeiffer and Miss Donna Moore. They're on our board. And we've got other board members that couldn't be here tonight. We got people dedicated. We want to do the work. We just want to make their futures brighter. And if we don't stop it now, I want the money to stay here. I want it to go to our children. I want to stop the drug use before it gets there. I don't want them to be me. I don't want them to have to go to treatment. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about some of the homes they come through or come from. But if we don't break it now, it's going to keep on.
Does anyone have any questions for Nikki?
First of all, I do appreciate you guys for being strong enough.
It's very brave.
They are. No problem.
Bless your heart.
They do lead well. One thing I did ask you for an itinerary and a breakdown, so I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
I just wondered, how would you weigh the benefit of this trip as opposed to like having an effective leader and reach more kids?
Do you know how much a federal or national level speaker would cost us?
No idea.
And we don't have that money. This is a chance for them to go and meet Congress, meet your people that are making the laws. Mm-hmm. And she's wanting to meet the president. I'm probably going to I think they all do actually, but I think we can pull that off. But yeah, but we want them to get the knowledge and the training and education that they can't get here. There's nowhere you can go here and get this education that they're going to get. They have the whole day on Capitol Hill that they're going to be trained.
Another reason that this would be more beneficial than bringing in a guest speaker is because working with the youth population, they're more apt to listen to their peers than they are to someone who is not in their socioeconomic status, not living in the community that they're living in, not dealing and facing with the challenges that our students are dealing with. Because you work in the education sector, you know for a fact that you can sit there all day long and tell those kids, listen to what I'm saying, learn from my mistakes, but they don't necessarily listen to you and learn from those mistakes. But if another student says, oh man, did you see how Mr. Stokes did that? Then they have taught themselves, or they have taught their peers.
That's a very good response to that.
That's why I brought her. I get very emotional. Courtney keeps me down to earth.
Some of these people may not know who Courtney's mother is.
I am the daughter of Judy and Whitmer.
Is there any more questions? Really, anything. I want to answer them. I want to help make this. Any questions?
Nikki, I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
If you get this money and some of your kids decide that they're not going.
Yes, ma'am.
What happens to their part of that money?
There will be another child that'll come up in their place. The reason we picked these 6, they've been with us the longest. They've stuck it out with us. We do have more children, but this is a really expensive conference, and we're trying to keep costs down as much as we can. The reason we're taking 4 chaperones, adults, they're not the only ones getting trained. We are. We're getting trained to train them and keep it up, and we will continue education. This isn't something we're stopping on. We are looking at applying for grants next year. There's none available right now to do what we want to do. So we realized this would probably be a one-time deal for us, and we're okay with that. I mean, we would love it to continue, but we're willing to do the work, but we've got to get our feet wet first. And if anybody in this room has followed me any amount of time, you know I'm not afraid to work. I'm not. I'll get my hands dirty. I fight for, I can't tell you how many boards I sit on. And it's just because I care about this community. Like y'all do, or y'all wouldn't be in these seats.
This money, does it cover your chaperones, or are they paying for their own way?
It will cover their stuff as well because we're going into education as well. It's covered within the group. But we are talking about, because we want 15, there is a lot more that it's actually going to cost. I think it was right at $17.59, and we're going to do the sponsorships for that. So we're going to, it ain't just y'all, we're going to work too. So
have you asked any of the chaperones if they would pay their own way?
I'm paying part of mine. Financially, I think that's a burden on a couple of them. So we're trying to make it is very hard. Okay, let me break this down. It is very hard to get people that are willing to roll up their sleeves and to pour into these kids and be a part of something. And I don't want money to hold someone back that is willing to be there for these kids and teach them. They're not when the money's sitting here. You have people that are willing to take their time after hours, multiple days a week, and to pour into these children. I don't think a financial burden should be a strain on that. Not if they're going to get the education they need to come back and teach these kids what needs to be taught.
It's also important to note that this is not a youth summit. This is actually a leadership prevention summit. So it is for adults and youth, so that we as adults can also come back and talk to the parents, the grandparents, the single parents that are trying to figure out how can I make those connections with my child so that they don't make destructive decisions. So the adults that are going are also going to be doing preventative education when they come back as well, as the youth.
One of the roles I'm stepping into now with the department is the Drug Endangered Children Task Force. And part of that is I get to see the kids. I get to see the kids that are in the homes when the parents overdose. That's your next generation. We want to pour into them.
Okay, Nikki, your time is up. You went just a little bit over, but that's okay.
Well, I
because
appreciate y'all so much.
We had questions. Does anybody else have any more questions before they sit down?
You put on the presentation back a while back for the Lions Club.
Yes, sir.
And of course I was there at it, and you did a great job at putting that. I was impressed.
Thank you, sir.
At that presentation.
Appreciate it.
And it starts with the kids carrying the message.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's a whole lot in a lot of stuff. You know. And these parents and people that's willing to give their time and effort and money, there's no price to put on the country.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Means more to me than you know. More than you know. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Number 4 is our commissioners forum. Do we have a commissioner that would like to speak at this time? Commissioner Bain?
Thank you. I want to give a statement in response to the Democrat Party that has posted a lot of stuff about this resolution that I have sponsored, the first resolution in the packet. And so I want to respond to the things that they have said formally. I want to thank Commissioner Price for joining me to bring this resolution before you today. I fully support the Constitution of the United States. I do not know why anyone would not support it. Jefferson County has voted to pass this resolution, and it is being brought before several other counties. I would appreciate your support in passing this resolution. My purpose in bringing this resolution, as the Democrat Party said, before you is not to cause property taxes or any other taxes to be implemented or increased. As you may recall, before I was commissioner, I stood here, right here, and spoke against the raising of property taxes because of the struggle of Benton counties that they are suffering. I am not against federal funding until the price tag of the federal purse strings infringe upon the people's rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is overreach. I am against government control, which is socialism and communism at any level. People have the right to freedom, to make choices concerning their health care, their cars, their appliances, and especially the education and health care of their own children. Our government is not putting the people first. In fact, it has gone way overboard with control. No amount of government money is worth giving up the freedom our veterans fought for. And I thank you for your time, and I yield the floor.
Do we have another commissioner that would like to speak? Commissioner Arnold, you're recognized.
No, I'm just here. I want to thank Nikki and the Hope Center for coming up. And I say, I've worked with Nikki on events before, and she is a very powerful speaker and does a good job and jumps in. And Larry then does a good job also. When this money come up with opioid money, it was just right away people started coming up asking for money. We gave $22,000 or so to Judge Bradbury for a drug court for the citizens of Benton County. We have spoken and talked about the sheriff's department getting an in-house rehabilitation program set up and using this opioid money to do so. So when somebody goes to court, if they can't afford to go to rehab, the judge sentences them to court to jail, then they can get their rehab, and a lot of people can be helped inside the jail. We've got to stop drugs in Benton County. There's a lot of them out there. The sheriff department fights with them every day. But you know, there's other programs that's going to come up if we fund trips for 4-H. They will be the next one to have a trip come out. I'm not knocking their program. I think they do a good job, the same way with the Hope Center. But if we pass out all the money, there's $30,000 worth of requests there out of the opioid money. The sheriff, I know, has talked to 2 people about a position at the jail, setting up the program that he wants to set up. He's got an interview with another gentleman about that position. If we give away all the money that we've got in that opioid fund, then we're not going to be able to hire that person to set that program up at the sheriff department. They're good programs. I mean, our kids need education, and I know our school system does it. Other programs does it, but the parents has got to step up in all the programs. But if we turn around and give all that money away, we're not going to be able to have a program at the sheriff department where we can take care of all the inmates that have a drug issue that may not go to rehab. Sometimes they don't think they need to go to rehab. They don't think they got a problem. They're not going to get over it until they know they've got a problem. I've dealt with this 25 years in another business, the probation business that I had been in. We sent a lot of people to the Hope Center and other programs also. But just keep in mind, if we turn around and fund these $30,000, there goes your program that we want to try to implement inside the church.
Anyone else?
Yeah, this past week I've received several calls and stuff about the airport committee out there, what's going on at the airport. And I was told to let y'all know, if anybody has any questions, go to the airport. She'll meet with you, explain what all they're doing, where the money's going, how much money she's already brought in, and where y'all's money's going. So I'm relaying to y'all. They meet the first Monday of the month. And y'all will come to the board meeting. Mr. Miller comes all the time. He'll say, you know, I think they're trying to do it right. I don't know.
What time?
4:30. But if anybody has any questions, just go to the airport and she'll meet with you and take you through there and show you what all she's got in mind for improvements in flight school for kids and all. And on Nikki's part, she is very passionate. She believes in it. I believe it's a good deal.
Commissioner Bain.
I just want to say I agree with Commissioner Arnold. I believe that we need to be helping the sheriff get set up. We signed on to this with the judge for a year and giving the sheriff time to get an in-house program together so that he can take it over at the end of that year and get the people on drugs off of the street And if we spend all of our money for this and that and the other, then he will not have the money to get it set up by the time that year is up to take it over up there, because I would be more comfortable working with those that are on drugs. We need to get them off of them, not prevention. We need to deal with the ones that are already on drugs. And I would be more comfortable with them being in-house in the jail than out on the street where they have the potential to reoffend. I think that's where the money needs to go. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to number 6. Number 5, Mayor Ward, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else, our turn?
Oh, I've already taken quite a bit of your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we will move on to number 6, which is the approval of the minutes. I need a motion and a second. I have a motion by Commissioner Price and a second by Commissioner Stokes. All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? A roll call?
Yeah. They're about to finish here.
Okay.
Your turn? Yeah. So your eyes have it, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Number 7, report of the public utilities, and then a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hicks and a second by Commissioner Stokes. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Number 8 is the approval of the updated highway department policies. Do we have any questions about this? Commissioner Fowler?
Yeah, I talked to, Bud there about his, back in his house and things of that nature. On this policy in the past, I've heard, as far as Buck, I know he's doing a great job as supervisor, but is there anything in that policy that states if someone wants to run for that position as road supervisor, is there any restrictions on qualifications that's in there? What is policy on that side? I might not have got too deep enough into it to see, but is there anything in there? Or what is your qualifications to run for road supervisor?
Those qualifications would not come from the highway department supervisor. They come from the state of Tennessee. So he wouldn't have any control over that.
It's a state mandated
Yes.
thing, right?
It is.
Any other questions? Mr. Carter's here in the audience if anybody would like to say anything or ask. Commissioner Furr?
I'm the chairman of the Highway Department Committee, and on this number 8, to update the Highway Department policies, was all approved by all of the members that's on that committee. So we approved the request of whatever he is trying to implement in the Highway Department for the employees. So
Okay.
it was recommended by us, the Highway Department Committee, for
The department policies does not have to be approved by us. That is the responsibility of the highway superintendent. So what we're doing is, I think Mr. Carter just wants us to affirm that you have read the policy. Is that right, Mr. Carter? Yes, just that we are affirming. So I would ask if all of you affirm, just say aye. Does anyone oppose? Okay, then his policy is confirmed. I have somewhere that I have to be, so I would like to ask to be excused, and I'm going to step down, and our chairman pro tem is going to take over the rest of the meeting.
You gotta take
There's your notice.
All right.
You go.
Yeah, I got all my papers.
Okay.
Are you leaving this thing?
Yes.
I don't know how to
This
use
is what
that.
this is how you vote.
So I don't vote on mine.
When it comes time to vote. Well, can you vote on his?
He votes on his tax.
Yeah, I don't say you can't do that.
I mean, I'm good with it if you are.
I thought it was going to change it. This is where you look to see who wants to speak, but you can just recognize who you want to. You know.
They don't say nothing to that anyway.
No, not most. They don't.
Oh, boy. All right, everybody say bye to Roseanne. Okay. I don't need that. No, you don't. All right, we'll start with Resolution 1. Resolution by Commissioner Debbie Bain and Jerry Price, urging the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee to enact law to facilitate nullifications of certain federal actions and federal overreach to uphold state sovereignty. Need a motion and a second. And I can see if we got one. I've got a motion by Jeff Murphy. I can see. There you go.
Your motion and your second. Mr. President.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Rocky, you're recognized first.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll start out by saying hello to everybody. There's a matter that concerns me greatly with the resolution that comes out of the resolution, and I'm going to tell y'all about it. Should I stumble a few times, let's just blame it on all overtime that I'm working right now. The resolution is simple, to the point. It's clear, or at least some of our state lawmakers are wanting it mandated or being able to have the power to nullify something passed from the federal government that they deem unconstitutional. I understand that. Overreach. The word overreach was used in this resolution 4 times. It caught my attention. I found a newspaper article, November the 10th this year, and it caught my eyes as talking about somewhat this subject. I'm going to share a few paragraphs with you out of it. We, our state of Tennessee, as state legislators, a state legislative working group tasked with determining whether Tennessee can reject federal education funding and replace it with state dollars to eliminate strings attached. Well, the strings attached kind of caught my attention. It's similar to, in my opinion, of overreach. Our House Speaker, he asked this group to recommend a strategy for how to reject federal funds before the legislation reconvenes in January. That's real soon. House Speaker Sexton and Lugburn, maybe I pronounced their name right, says that if the state does opt to reject any federal funding, the state would continue to pay for programs funded by the federal dollars. And this is what really concerns me. State dollars replacing federal dollars. I'm moving on. House Speaker has cited the federal mandate to administer standardized testing like the Tennessee Comprehensive Assessment Program, TCAP, as a reason for the state to reject federal funding. Now this paragraph, please, I'm going to ask everybody close attention. Several members, lawmakers, have asked or implied that rejecting federal education funding could possibly jeopardize funding from other federal agencies, including the school lunch program, transportation grants, energy funding. This was written by Vivian Jones. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. Our state budget is somewhere around $52.5 billion. My research finds that about 30% of this is federal dollars. This year's surplus is $1 billion, normally $100 million to $200 million. My concern is refusing federal dollars and the dollars being replaced with state dollars. My concern is the surplus disappearing. My concern is the state operating in an underfunded budget or the budget being in red. Moving on. I have a report. This is a staff report, state shared taxes in Tennessee. Now, some of y'all don't know what state shared taxes are, so I'm going to share it with you. I'm sure some of you do, some don't. This was written by the Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernmental Relations, March 2000, way before any talk of nullifying federal government or not receiving federal dollars. Shared taxes. These are taxes that are paid to the state. The state shares them with the cities, municipalities, and the counties. Some of those taxes, there's 10 or 11 of them. Excise tax that the banks pay. Gasoline tax that we buy when we buy gas. Local auction sales tax, severance tax. There's 5 or 6 more. Alcohol beverage tax, beer excise tax. Moving on. Benton County. Our budget is in around $11 million this fiscal year we're in right now. Of that $11 million, $2.7 million is shared revenue. $2.7 million that help and pay for this budget is shared revenue. The Highway Department has a budget at $3.5 million. The shared revenue the Highway Department is receiving is better than $2.5 million. Severance tax, state sharing TVA, gasoline, $2.3 million, petroleum. The school, with a $23 million budget, their state shared taxes is better than $3.3 million. That's a total of $8,596,000 of state shared taxes helping operate this county. Central cafeteria, that's in your budget, page 79 in my budget. Account 143, this is a separate account all by itself. This ain't state money, this is federal money. Of the $1,539,000 to pay for the school's lunches, $1,190,000 of that comes from the federal government, from the USDA. And there is overreach. I've got some language that come out of the Tasher's study, and it says executive summary. This report, this is from Tasher at the request of our state lawmakers back in 1999. This report explores the significance of state shared taxes in Tennessee and the fiscal impact of eliminating such revenue sharing with local governments. This issue was discussed at the December 1999 meeting of the Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernmental Relationships, at which time the Tasser staff was directed to prepare this report. The commission discerned that state shared taxes are a critical issue in the face of a major state crisis, fiscal crisis. They just told us if there's a crisis at the state, they're going to hold back these shared taxes. Impact on the county governments. As shown in Appendix H, Table 8, county governments received more than $275 million in state shared taxes in 1999. If state shared taxes were withheld, counties would be on average need to increase property taxes 111 cents. Where state shared taxes play a relatively large role in funding local budgets, where the property tax base is relatively small, the property tax increase required to replace lost state revenues could be quite large. I've picked out a few paragraphs of about 60 pages to share with y'all.
Have you got much more, Rocky?
The CTASC analysis. Is there anything any more important than this today, Darrell?
Well, I'm just asking
The
you.
CTASC analysis found that the loss of state shared revenues would have serious implication to county government finances and counties' abilities to provide services. This is especially true with counties with small tax bases. I have a list of the 5 counties in the state of Tennessee that has the smallest tax bases and the most dependent on state shared revenues. Stewart County, Meigs County, Union County, Granger County, and Benton County. My concern is we deny or don't accept the federal dollars in some cases. The fiscal budget providing for these same programs with state dollars has an underfunded budget operating in the red. They're going to pull back on these state shared taxes. In closing, we already have a solution to remedy any action seen by our lawmakers as unconstitutional, and that is the Tennessee State Attorney General can sue the federal government, and this is happening all in our country. Chairman, I yield the floor. If there's any questions, I'll gladly take them.
Dwayne?
Thank you. The only thing is, it's just, he said it there at the last, they're afraid that because if the state turns that down, they're going to end the food grants and all that, they're going to cause we decide to do that, right? Yeah, I mean, it's simple, but Constitution's the Constitution. And, you know, you can, if they do that, then we'd have to deal with that just like every other thing. But trying to shove things down the throat of God and what the Constitution was done on and change it, that ain't the way to step it. That's all there is to it.
And you're going to have to prove it both of you.
That's exactly right. Yeah, but anyways, I know we disagree, but anyways, that's what I feel.
Anybody else?
Question. I think what Rocky's talking about, maybe I just didn't understand everything. Of course, we all support the Constitution of the United States. There's no doubt about that. But Rocky's right to the point that, you know, we are dependent on federal funds. We can send this up there, you know, but when it comes down to it, our state legislature and representatives in the state house are the ones that's going to accept the money or not. You know, let's face it, the government don't always make the best decisions. We don't make them sometimes. I know they don't. You know, they got No Child Left Behind and all that's done to ruin our school systems. You know, because kids know they want to pass regardless. You know, because they don't want to be left behind whether they study or not. But we are dependent on federal funds. I mean, we want to be dependent on. So I mean, it's not that anybody's against the Constitution, but if we take any money from anybody, I mean, you take it from your local bank, they got their stipulation, you got to pay it back with interest. So, you know, they want to have some outreach on the money we take from the government or the state takes, whatever it is.
Ms. Bain?
I just wanted to say briefly, I didn't bring this resolution to go against federal funds. I am not against federal funds. All I'm saying is it should not come at the cost of taking away the rights of the people. That's where I'm drawing the line. When they come and tell you that you've got to do this and this and this, or we're going to cut the money off, that's not right. That is not right. They can't take away our rights just so that we can get money from it, is all I'm saying. But I am not against getting federal funds. I am not against it. But it shouldn't come at the cost of our individual rights. Okay.
If nothing else, we'll put it to a vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion failed, 5 yes, 11 no. 2 absent.
All right, moving on to resolution number 3 by Benton County Mayor Mark Ward to appoint James Stanley Deaton to the Benton County Solid Waste Board for a term of 3 years. Got a motion by Mr. Arnold and a second by Mr. Stokes. Any questions? If none,
Miller, you have a,
I can't see it.
you wanna amend it? No? You ready for a vote?
Yes, sir.
Vote. Ms. Bain?
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries.
Resolution number 3 by Mark Florence to budget funds in the amount of $44,349.63 received from the state special education preschool grant to various expenditure line items within the school's budget. We've got a motion by Mr. Stokes and a second by Mr. Melton. Any questions? If none,
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries.
resolution number 4 by Sheriff Christopher to budget funds in the amount of $350 received from funds and fees to various expenditure line items within the sheriff's budget. Got a motion by Mr. Price and a second by Mr. Hall. Any discussion? Put it to a vote.
Thank you.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Resolution number 5 by Benton County Mayor Mark Ward to appropriate and budget funds in the amount of $14,641.97 to an expenditure line for proper disbursement to RAP.
That one was amended during budget and was included in your packet.
All right. That was amended in budget. So we need a motion to amend it. Well, I can't. You have to tell me. I can't see it.
There was in resolution 5, and everyone should have received the corrected resolution. In the bottom at where it says increase, the line item is correct, except it should say other charges. That would be the amendment to change the other charges for $5.99.
We've got a motion by Mr. Melton and a second by Mr. Stokes to amend the budget or amend the resolution. So any discussion on that? If not,
Anyone wish to change your vote? 16 yes.
now we'll go back. All right, but I don't know who made the motion on that. All right. All right, so we'll vote on it as amended, and we've got a motion by Mr. Stokes and a second by Mr. Price. Any discussion? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
That moves us to resolution number 6 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate and budget funds in the amount of $50,399 to various expenditure line items within the sheriff's budget in accordance with a reimbursable grant that has been received by the sheriff's department. All right, I have a motion by Mr. Stokes and a second by Mr. Price. Any discussion? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
All right, resolution number 7 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate budget funds in the amount of $256,000 to various expenditure line items within the sheriff's budget in accordance with the reimbursement grant that has been received by the sheriff's department. I've got a motion by Mr. Arnold and a second by Mr. Stokes. Any question? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Resolution number 8 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate budget funds in the amount of $11,406 to various expenditure line items within the sheriff's budget in accordance with a reimbursable grant that has been received by the sheriff's department. I have a motion by Mr. Melton and a second by Mr. Stokes. Any questions? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Resolution number 9 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate funds in the amount of $2,266.80 from the unassigned fund balance to an expenditure line item in the sheriff's budget for funding a necessary maintenance agreement. I have a motion by Mr. Melton and a second by Mr. Price. Any discussion? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Resolution number 10 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate funds in the amount of $5,240 from unassigned fund balance to expenditure line item in the sheriff's budget for law enforcement equipment.
That's pulled out of law enforcement.
That's correct.
This one was full, right? We already had money in the budget.
Yes, I believe that's, yeah, that's one.
All right, this resolution's been pulled. So that'll move us to resolution number 11 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate funds in the amount of $9,986 to the maintenance agreements expenditure line item within the jail's budget to fund a maintenance agreement with Johnson Controls. Have a motion by Mr. Melton and a second by Mr. Douglas. Any discussion on that? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Resolution number 12 by Sheriff Christopher to appropriate funds in the amount of $3,000 from the unassigned fund balance to an expenditure line item in the sheriff's budget for funding necessary expenditures. Have a motion by Mr. Stokes and a second by Mr. Burt. Any discussion? If none, please vote. Yeah, my bad.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
This one's from budget.
Which one? No, that's the ones I can't find. They had it on. Was it added on that time? Because I don't have it. I have 13. Oh, well, that's fine. If it was on there, I just don't. I might have lost it.
No, it wasn't there. We need to suspend the rules.
Do we want to do that in any other business?
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah, we're appointing notaries. Is that the motion for the notaries? We've got a motion by Mr. Price and a second by Mr. Stokes. And the notaries are Emily Coleman, Tammy Hegstrom, Anna Kristen, and Rhonda Staggs. Any discussion? If none, please vote. And I hope I got all them names right.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
All right, now we're any other business.
I move to suspend the rules for consideration of late resolutions 13, 14, and 15. Get it back.
We've got a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Do you want to vote it or just all in favor? It'll be on there. Okay. Please vote. No, you're fine. I'd rather vote with this thing.
Carried hard. Anyone wish to change your vote? 16 yes.
All right, now, resolution 13 by Sheriff Christopher to move funds in the amount of $25,000 within the sheriff's budget to cover a shortfall in overtime pay for sheriff's department. I've got a motion by Mr. Stokes and a second by Mr. Melton, and I've understood that there's an amendment to this.
Not to this one, the amendment is to 14.
Oh, okay.
I think did you change wording on that one? It's just 14.
On 14. So add. Any discussion on this one? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
If you got 14, that's
We did an amendment on 14.
right. I'm going to read it as written the first time first. The resolution by Sheriff Christopher to move funds in the amount of $25,000 within the sheriff's budget to cover a shortfall in overtime pay for the jail. I've got a motion by Mr. Burt and a second by Mr. Stokes. Any discussion?
We did an amendment.
It's your turn now. Yeah. Somebody, yeah.
Okay, make a motion to amend this to say where in the beginning where it says to move funds, it should say to appropriate funds and change the $25,000 to $12,000. Coming down to where it says decreased expenditures, that should read 101,039,000 unassigned fund balance, amount $12,000, and then in increased expenditures, it should be $12,000. Motion by Coach Jackson. Yeah, the expenditure line item is correct.
Any other discussion on the amendment? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Amendment passed 16 yes.
Now we'll vote as amended. Tell me who made the motion. There's a motion by Mr. Burke and a second by Mr. Stokes. Any discussion as amended? If none, please vote.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
All right, any other business? We have resolution 15. By Benton County Mayor Mark Ward to request permission from the County Commission to enter into an agreement to designate TLM Associates as the architectural and engineering firm of record for proposed facility upgrades at the Benton County Health Department building. Have a motion by Mr. Stokes and a second by Mr. Douglas. Any discussion? Keith Arnold.
Sorry about that, guys. I hate to bring in a resolution at the last minute, but we put this on the Go DBE website. We have a $200,000 grant to put a new roof, new centrals, do a bunch of upgrades at the health department. And we've already been awarded that grant. We've been working on it for the whole time I've been in office. But we had to put it out for an architect and engineering firm to represent us and go forward on this process. So we did that last month, and the only person that turned in was TLM. So I just want y'all's approval to get them to be the engineer and architect firm to do this project. They're the ones that actually built the health department back in the day when we built it. So they're really the best one to do it anyway. But they're the only one that responded to our RFQ. Any other questions? This was passed by the previous administration to do this. It was part of our ARPA money, I think, that we matched to this grant with to make this happen. But it's going to be really good for the health department.
Any other discussion? If none, please vote.
One of my votes yes. I'm shutting down.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carries 16 yes.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn. Got a motion by Mr. Price and a second by Mr. Stokes. All in favor?
Wasn't there a
Yeah, I didn't have that with me.